Hello there, and welcome back to the Chaps Guide, the channel where we talk about men's grooming, style and self-development. And today, well, I'd like to talk about the obvious, the white dinner jacket. Because the white dinner jacket, or tuxedo, depending on what you call it, which will depend where you live in the world, has been around for some time. But it's increasingly taking the place of its black relative when it comes to situations which involve formal dining in the evening. Now, the black dinner jacket, or the black tie as it's often referred to, is the sort of industry standard, the go-to standard when it comes to those formal occasions which suggest you need to wear black tie or black tuxedo. But increasingly, we've seen people substituting that black dinner jacket for the white dinner jacket. And I thought I'd like to take this opportunity to explain to folks where the white dinner jacket comes from and perhaps the situations where it is actually appropriate. So substitute that white jacket for the black or black for the white so that you don't look a fool the next time you step out to the opera wearing your white dinner jacket and you might feel a little foolish. Now, stepping back in history is where the white dinner jacket makes its entrance onto the stage of gentlemen's formal dining wear. And like so many things, in fact, it can trace its history back to the British military, which was one of those sort of institutions which has given us so many of the rules of etiquette and clothing which persist in the modern era. Now, let me take you back to the colonial era, where British Army officers, their evening dress, their mess dress as it would have been called, would traditionally have been black or white or blue, entirely dependent upon the regiment you were a member of, would depend on the type of dress, the colour, whatever, depending on the circumstances you found yourself in. But when these regiments started to push into the sort of global space, and you would find yourself in, let's say, India, or the Caribbean, or the many other tropical parts of the world that the British Empire found itself stepping into, you would have found that your red serge mess dress would have been perhaps overwhelmingly hot and stifling in those tropical environments. So to substitute the reds and the dark colours, it started to become the fashion that officers serving in the tropical climes around the world would start wearing a white or off-white, ivory, cream, ecru, whatever you'd like to call it, but an off-white dinner jacket in place of those red and white mess dress. And today that still is the case. Officers posted in locations with our tropical climates will still substitute their normal mess dress for a white mess dress jacket. And that's where the white dinner jacket entered the sort of the lexicon of clothing for the well-dressed chap. Now, in, shall we say, the last 20, 30 years, the white dinner jacket has kind of tapered off in its popularity, and it would have been considered to be the sort of go-to clothing for perhaps gentlemen of a certain age who were cruisers. When you were on the cruise ship in the tropical parts of the world, you would get your white dinner jacket out and wear it, to the evening dining functions or the special dress-up evenings on the ships, and kind of that would be the extent of where the white dinner jacket would be worn. But in more recent times, we've started seeing celebrities wearing a white dinner jacket in place of the, more traditional black jacket or the midnight blue jacket, depending on what your preference would have been, on the red carpet, for instance, in Hollywood. Or even, we've seen some of the really, epoch-making characters like James Bond, for instance. In the last James Bond film, Spectre, we saw Daniel Craig's James Bond wearing a Tom Ford white dinner jacket. And of course, as we hark back in time, we will have seen Bond wearing that, that extremely enigmatic white dinner jacket time and time again. Although, normally in the appropriate circumstances, when he was undertaking his duties in the Caribbean or in some sort of tropical climate. But we've seen it creeping in. So what sort of events would you wear the white dinner jacket to? Well, for me, the white dinner jacket performs the function of being the warm weather version of the black dinner jacket, and that's the way I think of it. Although if you were to be entirely etiquette bound, most people would say that you should only wear a white dinner jacket in let's say, the very height of summer in many countries around the world, or perhaps if you happen to live below the 49th parallel in the world, where it's pretty much warm all the time, perhaps the white dinner jacket would be entirely appropriate, perhaps most of the time. But for me, I live in the United Kingdom, or if you live in certain parts of North America or other parts on a similar level around the world, the white dinner jacket has a very limited window of time where it can be worn, because in our temperate climate, where it never gets truly very hot or truly very cold, it's a great environment to live, by the way, but the wearing of a white dinner jacket has got a very limited opportunity to be worn. So for me, I would perhaps wear it only like today in the height of summer, where it's a very hot and warm event, where I'm going to an event in the evening, where perhaps absolute formality is not expected, perhaps to a charity ball. I like to think if I was going to go to one of these events, and I would perhaps wear something less formal than a black dinner jacket, so a novelty dinner jacket, a velvet jacket, something like that. That would be the opportunity to wear a white dinner jacket, but in the summertime. So think of it as a warm weather black tie, but in the hot time of year where it's less formal. Now, the risk you carry when you wear a white dinner jacket is that because of its eye-catching colour, and the vast amount of people are also going to be wearing black, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb in the crowd or the group of people that you find yourself in. Unless, of course, you're the district commissioner in the colonial Indian era of the British Empire, you are going to stand out like a sore thumb. So be mindful of the event that you're going to. Now, if it's somebody else's special evening and you know that everybody is going to be wearing black tie because it's quite formal, I would suggest that isn't the moment to wear your eye-catching, very obvious alternative white dinner jacket. It's in the same way that you would suggest that no bridesmaid outshines the bride on her special day. If you think like that, but in gentlemen's dressing terms, you won't go far wrong. And of course, if you wear your white dinner jacket to a very obviously formal event, you do stand the very real risk of being mistaken for a waiter, and people will continually be asking you to get them a drink from the bar all night. So wear the white dinner jacket at formal events at your own risk, at your own discretion. Nobody wants to be mistaken for a waiter. So what are the component parts of the white dinner jacket? What's the difference? Well, it's just a jacket. It's as simple as that. So it's easy to own just a jacket and substitute it when you feel it's appropriate, when you get those little circumstances that fall into place where one might be appropriate. Or of course, if you're a regular cruiser, or if you're traveling to, hot tropical countries on a regular basis, it may be worth owning one. Now, one of the risks you do stand if you do decide to invest in a white dinner jacket, particularly if you live in the United Kingdom or somewhere where you have an equally temperate climate, is if I invest in this, I'm only likely to wear it a few times a year. And that is a true thing you have to weigh up when making that financial investment, because white dinner jackets are not particularly inexpensive. In my own case, if I'm being honest, I would probably only wear this jacket once or twice a year, but in the future I do intend to sort of travel a bit more widely and perhaps go on a cruise, so I've got it in the collection. But I also realised that white dinner jackets are not something people wear every day. So I didn't want to invest £200, £300, £400 in a quality white jacket. So being the sort of penny pinching or money conscious chap that I consider myself to be, I thought to myself, well, if I would only wear it once or twice a year, surely so would all of the people who currently own them. And after a period, they'd be likely to end up on some sort of auction site being sold off at a very modest price, and also only having very limited wear, because this is the UK. The weather is not like this all the time. So with that in mind, I started to research the garments on eBay, and sure enough, in a very short period of time, I managed to pick this beautiful shawl-collared white dinner jacket up, and it cost £25. And when it was delivered to me still in its plastic zip-up container, clearly had only been worn once or twice, and that's a great way of getting those little signature pieces that you're only likely to wear now and again, but without investing, you know, a crushing amount of money in it, because let's be honest, I'm only going to wear it once or twice, and I'm not going to put the sort of money that I could spend on a suit into just a jacket to be worn now and again. So that's a really good way of doing it, particularly if you're an unusual size. You know, you might be able to pick one up quite easy. I'm a 38 chest, and people who wear these sort of jackets tend to be on the larger side, so I was quite easy. I lucked in, I was the only bidder for this jacket, £25. I've owned it for about 8-9 months. I haven't really worn it out formally yet because of the lockdown situation in 2020. It's scuppered my chances of you know, the premiere of this jacket in a formal occasion, but the day will come. It's in the wardrobe. It doesn't cost no money once I've purchased it, and you know, it'll hold its £25 indefinitely, I think. So that's a really good way of investing in the white jacket without firing a load of money into it. So there we go. That's my thoughts on the white dinner jacket, how it can be worn, what it can do for your stylistic appearance in front of others. Just be mindful, all eyes in the room will be on you. So be a little bit careful when you make the decision to wear it. Have the confidence to pull it off as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today. If you have, I would invite you to give us a thumbs up, and I'd be delighted if you joined us here at the Chaps Guide by clicking that subscribe button as well. And please take the time to drop me a comment in the comment section below. I do really enjoy interacting with you guys and hearing your stories of sartorial elegance as the chaps that you are. So until the next time, please take care, look after yourselves and your family, and we'll see each other very soon.